Welcome back to the 180 podcast. In this episode, we are finishing our religious norms breakdown. Today, we have a bunch of new youth who are joining us, but we do have some returning from our last podcast. We have a bunch of new questions, so we're hoping to get some new opinions, some new thoughts. Hopefully, we're not ending off needing new prayers. To start us off, I am Daniel. I will be hosting the podcast today. And let's go around and we can share our name and if we conform to any specific religion. We did do this last time, but again, we got some new voices. So, Daniel here, and I consider myself a Christian.
Um, my name's Abby, and I also consider myself Christian to some extent.
I'm Haley and I'm Catholic.
My name is my name is Nathaniel and I'm a Catholic.
My name's Ashley and I consider myself Christian.
My name is Emmanuel and I consider myself Christian.
My name is Akil and I consider myself a Catholic.
My name is Prince and I'm Christian.
My name is Daniel. I'm Christian.
My name is Ruben and I'm a Christian.
And my name is Elijah. I consider myself as a Christian.
And my name is Josiah. I also consider myself Christian.
Okay, so it's looking like everyone here is kind of all falling under the Christian umbrella. We do have one of our youth here is also named Daniel. Hopefully, it doesn't get too confusing, but we'll just see how it goes. So, we do have quite a bit of questions, so we're just going to kind of jump right in. That way, we're not taking up too much of our time and too much of you, the listeners' time. The first question we're going to ask is, do you think God cares more about how we dress for church or how we treat people outside of it? And to jump off of that, why do we focus so much on the first one? So why do we focus so much about dressing for church?
I think people focus on like how we dress to church because like a lot of people judge you like based on your appearance. Like that's the only thing they can go off since it's like the first time like their first time seeing you. Yeah.
It symbolizes your character and personality as a person because you have to dress moderate to approach certain kind of people.
I think it's showing respect when you dress properly when you're going to church.
I don't know. The Bible says, "Come as you are." I think dressing, like coming to church in your Sunday's best, has become more cultural than religious. It has become a way of cultural. It has become a way of cultural acceptance. It has become a social key to a social class and an economic class more than a religious standing.
Yeah, I think I might have said this in our last one, but I don't think God cares about what we're wearing. I think he just more cares that we're actually there. We're there to worship him, pray to him, um, and yeah, just kind of being at church is most important. Obviously, we shouldn't be showing up, naked or wearing stuff that's saying like I hate God or stuff. But yeah, anybody else?
I also I also accept your point that like expressing yourself through the way you're dressing is like that's how the way you are, and people have to accept the way you are.
That's good. Snaps around.
Um, like it just shows that because a lot of people how they dress it helps bring out who they are or something. So when you dress nice, it just shows that you respect the person that you're going to see. It doesn't have to be because he won't accept you for not dressing nice. A lot of people just do it because they want to, you know.
Um,
I feel like it doesn't matter how you dress for church. People only come to church and try to wear church clothes because they want to feel part of and not be judged for not. Because if you're not wearing church clothes at church, you just stand up. People aren't ready to face that judgment. But the most popular Christians Philip Anthony Mitchell, Bryce Crawford, and the rest. Like they don't wear church clothes, and know what their church does either. They just come as they are.
Snaps for that.
Okay.
Nice. Okay, that was great. I do like that we got a good mix of answers. We are going to jump over to our next question. Do you believe in your God because you were told to, or because you made that conscious decision?
Well, like most, probably all of us here were like born into it. So yeah, you just like decide to want to stay in it or not. Because some people like don't, and some people do. Yeah.
The only reason I believe in God was because I was born into a Christian family. If not, I don't think I wouldn't believe in. If my family wasn't like religious or anything, I don't think I really have a sense that we should believe in something that doesn't really exist. But since I'm Christian, I have to believe in it.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think the concept of baptism, even if it's like you're told you're making that decision, most of us were like, personally, I was baptized when I was like maybe 10. And we had classes, and I was like, yeah, accepting Jesus Christ, but I didn't really know what that entails. So the more I grow up, the more I kind of deconstruct what that meant. And it's like it's an ongoing decision that I'm making. That's why I said to some extent.
Age or snaps for that?
For me, it's more like you were told that God is the true God, and then you come out to find out there are actually different other religions, and then you start to wonder which one's real. Then you see the signs, you see the wonders, and then you start to think, your mind decides and rests on this uh case that this is the true God, and you just kind of believe it naturally.
Going off what Daniel said, I kind of disagree. Just for me personally, because like I got baptized twice. Once was not when I was like a kid, which really didn't count because I didn't know like what Christianity was, and I didn't know, like who God was. I didn't really have a choice because I was like a toddler, right? But then I got rebaptized when I was like 15. So like for me, it's like not a choice. I mean, for me, it's like not like if I wasn't born into a Christian family, I think I'd still be a Christian. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, it's yes for both question because we're born into the family, we're born into Christianity, so we have to believe we're Christians, and yeah, we see many things God do for many people. So the answer is just basically yes for both questions. For both questions.
My answer to that is no, because I was born to a Christian family, but I did not believe in God at all, even though I went to church every Sunday. It's only since October 27th, 2024, that I became a Christian.
That's tough. I actually agree with Keelan. My mom is a minister. I grew up in a family of ministers, but I don't think going to church for me was more. It was more out of muscle memory. Get up every Sunday, you do this, not because I necessarily had a connection with God, but because this is what I was taught to do. It was kind of, in a sense, it was indoctrination. From a very young age, you were told this is how you do, this is what we do, this is why you do it. You accept without questioning it. It's only when I got around, like, I guess, maybe 18, 19, I actually started to suffer really badly with depression, and I started to really look for who and what God is. And I think even right now in my spirituality, like I'm not the most secure, but I do believe there's a God. I do believe there's someone we should subscribe to. There's a higher being. I just don't believe that the way we as individuals right now package it is correct. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of really great answers. I do actually want to jump off of, I think it was Haley who mentioned first that she was born into a Christian family. That's something we didn't really talk about or ask. We can do this maybe just by show of hands. Who was born into a Christian or religious family? Okay. Pretty much everyone here. Was anybody not born into a Christian or religious family? Okay, actually, it looks like I'm the only person who's not. Okay, that's just good to know. Okay, all right, we can just move on. Do you guys think it's possible to be a strong Christian or member of any religion and still disagree with the religious leaders on certain things?
I think yeah. I think I think one of the core concepts has to be, in order for you to truly believe in something, you first have to question it. You gotta test the person that's telling you. You gotta test their knowledge so that when you are when you're retelling this to other people, you trust in what you're saying. You gotta be able to question stuff. If you're not able to question what you're learning, then it's not really a choice. It's a decision being made for you.
Also, to back up on what Josiah said, for me, it's just all about the truth. If you know the truth, then and you see that people aren't saying the right thing, then you stand up for the truth and you say the right thing because your voice matters. So if let's say a preacher was blaspheming or speaking rubbish about a certain thing, and I knew that this was true or this is wrong, and I knew the truth, I would stand up and say, "You're saying the wrong thing," because it's to everyone needs to learn what they don't know. So yeah.
Nice.
I agree with Dan. Sorry, I agree with Emmanuel because there's some questionable people that call themselves men of God, and then they'll like approach you and be like, "Oh, the Lord told me you have to like tie a seed of like 10K or something like that." When it's them just trying to have money for their pockets. So I agree with Emmanuel.
Um, um, I don't think. I think you can be a strong Christian without agreeing with everything religious, like religious leaders say or want you to believe in, because even Jesus himself didn't agree with everything the religious leaders were saying, because
Yes.
there always used to be times when they came to him and told him he's doing something that's against the law. But I think faith is something that you should interpret as an individual. Like, I think you should have the right to believe in what's good or what's good or bad.
Okay. Just before we go to the next person, I just want to restate the question. So the question is it possible to be a strong Christian or member of another religion and still disagree with religious leadership on certain things?
So I think Emmanuel is right, cause our prophets can tell you who your God is. You have to know who your God is, and you have to worship Him. Not by a prophet telling you to do what you have to do. That just knowing your God and know who you are, and that's
Nice. And that's one of our younger youth.
I think you can be a very good spiritual Christian and still disagree with certain things because the information being taught to us in the church should be based on the Bible, not on opinion or what you think. It should be factual.
Okay.
I feel like you could still be a strong Christian and disagree with some religious leaders because like they're not always right. And like if they say something you're like, "Oh, I don't think that's right." You could either go back and reread it and your opinion might change, or he may be like more experienced starting his journey as a Christian. But like there are also some religious leaders that like just say things that are just wrong. You know, there's a guy that I don't know if you see it on TikTok, right? There's a guy that brings a Bentley to church, and the people ask him why, and he says it's for the church, but like he's the only one driving it, and he puts it on display. He's misusing like what God called him to do, which is to preach.
Okay. Snaps for that. Any final comments? Okay. Great. Um. Okay. Oh, this one's getting a little more personal, I think. Do you guys think God has whoa. Do you guys think God has a specific plan for everyone's life, or does he give us freedom to choose our own path? And if you have any personal experiences that you want to share, by all means. If not, no worries.
So I have this mindset that imagine you pray to God for something and that thing comes. If you didn't pray to Him, would it come or not? So if you did not pray to him, will what you prayed for him came or will not? So this is the mindset that I have.
Mm.
For me, it's more like, yeah, there is a plan God has given to you, but it all depends on what decisions you make. Because today, if you say a yes, and tomorrow you say a no, God can't dictate what you say, or like He can make everything like perfect. He can't play your role for you, but you have to decide your like what decisions you make, and if it falls in the piece, if the pieces fall in place, then yeah, to go according. But if you make wrong choices, then he can't exactly do anything.
I think everyone has a purpose in life, and in finding that purpose, you have to search for what you mean in life, your reason for living. You have to find your why. That's it.
I don't know. I think God has a plan for you. The Bible says, "I know the plans I had for you, plans to prosper you." You know, so I think there's a plan, but I don't think the plan is written in stone. I don't think God is going to say at 31 you're going to become a billionaire. I think God's plan, it's more, it's more directional than destinational. If you get what I'm like, I don't think that's a word. Yeah, I think it's more of guidance. I don't know. Destination is not a word, guys, but I think it's more like I want you to do this in this area, but it doesn't mean God. Like God can call you to be a minister, but not a pastor. There are different ways to ministry. You know, God can call you to be a businessman, but it doesn't mean you're going to own Tesla. You could be a business owner like a bakery. So I think there are plans, but I don't think the plans are super specific.
I feel like God has a purpose and a plan for everybody, but we have the free will to go and seek it and to find what it is, because like you could like have free will, and even if you know your plan, like just don't think that any decision you made is going to be the right one, because like what if you willingly do the wrong thing all the time? Like what if God is telling you to do something and you go doing something else all the time before listening to him? You won't get to where you need to go, you know.
Okay, great answers around again. Jumping into our next one. Do you guys think there are parts of the Bible or church traditions you think were shaped by the culture of their time rather than God's timeless truth? And how do you think we can tell the difference?
My first one is gonna be Noah's Ark.
Ooh.
Because first of all, how did every single animal across the entire world come to one boat and we did not find that boat to this day? If we,
Asking the real questions.
and is it that big to fit that amount of animals? No, one can't be. So and it's okay. From penguin from Antarctica will come to a boat over across the world and will not die. How is that possible? Hmm? Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark is an impossible feat.
Okay. Okay, just to ask the question again, because it is a bit of a longer one. Are there parts of the Bible or church traditions you think were shaped by the culture of their time rather than God's timeless truth? And how can we tell the difference? Josiah wrote this one. He can explain it.
Okay, so the question is basically asking you, do you think there are things in the Bible or things that we as Christians subscribe to at church that are based on church culture and not actually what God says? So, for instance, we just spoke about wearing hats at church. Like, is that something that you think God said women should wear hats to church, or is it like in the old time days, women used to wear hats as a form of reverence or, to hide their unclean thoughts? You know, back in the days, they thought women were unclean, and they used to wear the hats as a form of, I don't know, that could be, or maybe me personally, one of the biggest things I struggle with, I don't think God says you should give him a piece of whatever you make. I do not think that if I don't think if I'm working a precarious job and only making X amount of money a month, I should have to give the church 10% of my money. I think the Bible says give as you earn. So I should be able to go to the church and volunteer on Sunday and say, look, I cannot afford to give God 10%, but I can give God 100% of my time on Sundays. I think that can be ties. That is an instance of something like, do you think there's things that the church does or the church preaches that is not necessarily rooted in God, but rooted in their mission to get either more people or more money.
For me it's just like it's like, yeah, like Josiah said, there's some things that the church would say that's not exactly in the Bible, but for us it's just like we see God this way, and we see him as this supreme being that helps us all the time, and we are trying to please him. We're trying to do things and not make any mistakes. So we come up with these stuff that like we're trying to do in every possible way we can, just to make sure we don't deviate from his ways or do anything stupid, even though it has to be to make up something that just goes on the list, and yeah, something like that. So that's what I was saying.
So our next one is. Oh, actually, I feel like I'm gonna save this one for later. Okay. What are some Christian norms or teachings that you find the hardest to defend to someone who isn't already convinced? I'll ask it again. Which Christian norms or teachings do you find the hardest to defend to someone who isn't already convinced?
I don't know, personally, the idea that God is like this big judge up there with a big gaffer, and as soon as people do bad things, she's like sentenced to hell. Like in my mind, God isn't like this big mean person. He's ever loving, ever understanding. So I don't think that God is up there. As soon as I make a sin, he's right. Josiah just stole that thingy. Prince is over there stealing that basketball. I don't think God is doing that. I think God is saying, "Oh, look at my child. He's failing me, but I have faith that he'll not fail me next time." I think God is more gracious than we give him credit for.
For me, the hardest thing to explain to like an unbeliever is the last trumpet. That at one some random time a trumpet will sound and everyone just magically go for judgment. It's really hard to explain to someone who doesn't believe in God or who has no religion.
A hard thing to explain to like a non-believer would also be the fact that like the Bible was written by like so many different people, like in different generations of people, and they all had like the right thing to say.
Yep.
It like it sounds kind of made up, like because I think about it. I'm like, what if someone just like decided and just like wrote it all down? Because it would make more sense that just one person did it than like many people, and it just somehow aligned.
Ending Christian ending theology one day after another.
For me, I think it is the Holy Trinity, and also like how Jesus died and he rose on the third day. Like every time, like a non-believer, I talk to a non-believer and we talk about like Christianity, they're always like, "Oh, he can't be God because he basically died." Yeah.
Good point.
I would say the two hardest things to convince non-believers on are the Holy Trinity, because it doesn't make sense to them since they haven't read the Bible, or like sex before marriage is a sin, because it's so normalized in this, because it's so normalized in this world. And like when they hear that, they be like, "What? Like that's crazy."
To back up on Prince, yeah, he is true about like explaining the death of Jesus and the resurrection to people, because people don't really see like they. Oh, one question I always ask myself is, how is Jesus God, and how is God Jesus? That question is what goes through everyone's minds, and explaining that question to a non-believer without enough knowledge is the hardest thing to do.
Very true.
For me, it's like God's love. The way Christians paint Christianity out there, it makes people believe that God's love is conditional. Like, soon as you do something, you're sent to hell. And I believe God's love is unconditional. No matter how sinful or how bad you are or whatever you do, I believe God's love is unconditional. But the way Christians act out there, the way people act, it makes people believe that God's love is conditional, which is really hard to explain to people.
For me, it would be explaining to non-believers how God was created, because you can say God created. So basically, God created Jesus, right? So how did God came to existence? Who created God? That was one. And two, the belief of Jesus was the Son of God. Anybody can come up and say, I'm the Son of God, I'm the daughter of God. Anybody can say, I built this, I healed many people. So that's it.
Yeah. I really love what Abby mentioned about how, God is supposed to have unconditional love. It says in the Bible that God loves unconditionally, but there are a lot of people who will call themselves Christian who will turn around and say that God only loves you under certain conditions. So that was a great point to make. Now, um, what do you guys think holiness looks like? Or what does holiness look like to you? Do you guys think it's about behavior or something else?
All right, this is a tough one. I I think holiness is one subjective and two circumstantial, in the sense that holiness depends on your walk with God. For someone who's just starting their walk with God, something as simple as praying once a day or praying every day could to them be seen as a form of holiness. This is their way of carving out time for God. For a person that was Christian from birth and they like came out the belly speaking in tongues. For them, holiness is intercessory on Friday nights, church on Saturdays, church on Sundays, Sunday night church. To them, holiness is giving back to the poor. To them, holiness is going and doing evangelism. So in that sense, it's subjective, but then it's also circumstantial in the sense that you could be a very, very strong Christian and go through the worst period of your life. And in that period, you could start to question God. And I think your holiness in that sense is not going to be the same as when you were a very, very strong Christian, when everything was good for you. In that sense, it's going to be a more dire sense of holiness. You're going to be either questioning God, like you show up or you don't exist. But it is still holy. Like you're praying, you're still educating yourself. But the idea of it, the the essence of holiness in that in within that struggle is going to be different from when you were like living life great, driving your Mercedes Benz, going to church yeah.
I actually love that you kind of that was your answer because you heard this question and thought of it in a completely different way than I did. I think you definitely internalized holiness and how we as our own people are holy within ourselves directed towards God. I heard this question or I read this question and I was more thinking of it on how more so on how we're treating other people and how we're living our life. So for example, I was thinking of it as holiness would be, respecting people, showing love to people who are in, maybe worse situations than we're in. In a sense kind of walking life how Jesus was said to have walked life and how he treated others and taught others and, blessed the people who were there for him and who were against him. Um, so that's kind of how I heard the question. So I'm glad that you heard it in a different way because this is a great way to get these different opinions and yeah. Anybody else?
I think holiness is about purity and goodness, because God is all pure and all good, and sin sets you apart from God, and sin is considered unholy. It's like unholy things can't be like contaminated with holiness. Like they can't mix. Just like how Jesus said something about like trying to fix a new piece of garment with old something. Yeah. It's just like that. Like you can't. You have to be holy. We need to aim to be holy and pure for God, because God is holy and pure.
Hmm. Anybody else?
To elaborate on that, you have to be very clean inside of your mind and also outside. So your character demonstrate what you put out to people to judge you. You have to be clean inside and outside.
Just to keel on, if we're going to jump off of your idea of holiness, don't you think that that's a little too rigid? If we're saying that this God is all loving, like his loving is it's not circumstantial, it is unconditional, and then you're saying but sinning sets you apart from God, like you cannot be clean and unclean at the same time. Like, don't you think the idea of holiness is too rigid?
But sin does set you apart from God. We all fall to sin. We're all born sinners.
Yeah,
It's impossible to be perfect. But
yeah.
from the
But if we're
stripes,
saying we're trying to walk, our entire being of our entire purpose of life is to walk in holiness, to try to assimilate our life so that they are as close to Jesus' life as possible. If our idea of holiness is unattainable, then why are we walking towards it?
I never said all that. I just described holiness, bro.
Yeah, but I'm saying like, is that like your practical
I did not
description?
say all
Is
that.
that your practical
I did
description
not say all
when you're
that.
praying, when
I
you're like
described holiness.
when
I
you're
did not
praying and
say.
fasting, when you're like talking to God, are you saying, "Oh, I cannot sin. I can't think about that girl I just saw on Instagram. If not, I can't talk to God for next week." Like, really? And like, is that a practical thing? Or are you just saying that because it's something you read?
All I did was describe holiness.
Okay,
I did
Kilon.
not say it was your.
Okay, Kilon. All right.
Okay, this is actually a great segue into our next question. Do you guys think that the church focuses too much on sin management and not enough on love?
I think this is a great question for Keelan to ask because you know. So Keelan to answer. Sorry, Keelan, I think you should answer this one. I don't know. I just got to throw a lot of shade after your description of holiness.
I'll say the question again. Do you think the church focuses too much on sin management and not enough on loving each other?
Some churches do.
The church, not churches. The church, one body.
No, but like all churches aren't the same. But mostly, I don't know. I feel like mostly they do. I feel like mostly the church focuses on not sinning and all this other stuff instead of like loving each other. Because like in the Bible it says you should confess your sins, have a accountable partner, and like how can you do that without love and trust?
Yes. Anybody else?
Yeah, I agree with Keelan. I've said this on all the podcasts so far, but I think we, the church, have become too political, and church is no longer about serving, but it's about being served. It's no longer about how we can give back, but it's how people can give to us. Church for us has become transactional and not really holy. It's lost its kind of religious meaning, and it's become a political symbol. And we've like Bible says that like God is love, and if we can't, as a church, as a body, do this mirror thing, then how can we call ourselves holy? How can we call ourselves a church in that sense? I think that's one of the biggest things I struggle with church as well.
Okay. Um. We have, I think, two questions left that are written down, but I mean, maybe we'll open it up to some more. We have about 10 minutes left. And I actually think this is a great one to do next. Do you guys think faith should require accepting all church rules without question? No, we didn't. Do you guys think? Hold on. Yeah, no, we didn't do. We have one that's kind of similar. Okay. Do you guys think faith should require accepting all church rules without question, or should doubt be a natural part of growing in your faith?
Well, for me, faith is like when you believe and you trust that this Lord can do everything. But when the circumstances come and everyone has doubts, because like we all doubt things, we doubt ourselves, we doubt other people, and of course we'll doubt God when these kind of things come up. But that the fact of faith is when you doubt and you still hold on to that faith that He is still going to do it in the end, and you don't let the doubt get to you. That's what I.
I don't know. I think this question has an internal conflict because you cannot doubt and have faith at the same time. The Bible says faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. How can you believe for something? How can you have faith in something but still doubt it? It's like standing but still not standing, if you get what I'm saying.
To counter your opinion, I say faith is something that you should believe in yourself and not something that you're forced or like born to believe in. You should believe in it as yourself and you trust in it. Not something like you that you have to believe in.
Yeah, but what about doubt? What about doubt? Hold on, let's get back to Daniel. What about doubt? Okay, faith is personal, something you should believe and not something you're told to believe. But how can you have faith in these rules and still doubt them? It's either you have one or the other. If you have faith in the rules, you gotta follow. You can challenge them, but having challenging something and doubting something is two different things. Opa.
Okay, just to restate the question, it is: do you think faith should require accepting all church rules without question, or should doubt be a natural part of growing in your faith?
So the question is asking if we like if we should have like faith without question, right? But like sometimes, like, is it for Christianity or the church? Like,
Just faith in general, and yeah, about accepting all church rules.
you can't. It really depends, because like sometimes, like, let's say one of the church rules is that you have to go to church every Sunday. You have to go to church every Sunday, and then let's say like your car breaks down, like that's not really your fault. Like you can't really do anything about that. Yeah.
Well, for me, it's more like it's more like the way the Israelites were. So these people were God's chosen people, and they were the God was leading them to the promised land, but they kept doubting if this promised land was real. And so their doubt reached to an extent that God almost got angry and almost made them not to enter it. So it all depends on how strong your faith is. How strong your faith is. Because if your faith isn't strong, then your doubts would get in the way. You will feel those doubts, and there will be a lot of them. But if you have a very solid wall of faith, then it would be hard for you to have doubts because you already believe.
For me, you can have faith and still question some religious beliefs in the Bible. Like, let's say you're praying for something, right? 2 years, 3 years, you didn't get it. But like, you're not questioning. You're questioning not why the thing is not coming now. You're not questioning your faith for it. You just want it to come now. So I feel like you can have faith and still question some things happening in your life. Yeah.
Um.
I think
Okay. My personal interpretation of faith is more of having a relationship with God and not too much to do with um the beliefs, the customs, whatever in the Bible, the rules. So I think, according to my interpretation, I think when you're having faith, you can't really be doubtful because you're putting all your trust in God. But however, some people interpret faith as like the beliefs and all. I think you can question like the rules. I think you can question the beliefs, but if you're having faith in God, I don't really think you can have a doubt.
I think faith is trust in God, and doubt is a part of the journey because like there's only one really. I'm not even sure if he had 100% faith, but Abraham's one of the only people of existence that had like 100% faith in God. At least I think. Probably he did doubt God at times. I think Abraham did doubt God, right? But he didn't. But he still had enough faith to not let his doubt defer him from what God wanted him to do, and he still followed through. I think if you're a Christian, you're always gonna have some doubt, and that doubt can't allow you to grow like closer to God if you try to understand it.
Yeah. I want to first adapt what I said earlier. There's an internal conflict in the question, in that the question is presenting two different I want to say avenues. What it's asking if you have to believe, like have faith in what's going on in the church wholeheartedly, or if you can doubt the process. I think doubting the process comes before you have faith. I think the question itself has a conflict, and I also think, as you were saying, like in your walk with God, like once you've accepted God, once you decide, okay, this is the journey I want, then that's when doubt goes away and faith kicks in. But even when you're like in the walk with faith, you can challenge stuff. Challenging does not necessarily mean you doubt it. It means like, I want to know this for a fact, and I'm going against the grain just to see if what is being said is correct. Doesn't mean this sounds a little fishy. I don't know about this. This man is like, it's you kind of confirming how you want your walk with God to look, and not really you saying this doesn't make sense. I guess I think. Okay.
Anybody else? Okay. All right, we have pretty much one more question, but there is a brief thing I want to bring up right before we end. So our last question, our last main question is, do you think science and faith are enemies, or can they work together? As we know, science and especially Christian beliefs tend to go against each other. But how do you guys feel?
It's really hard for science and it's really hard for science and faith to work together because first of all, science speaks about things that are factual and something that you can actually see, but not yet see in the case. But faith talks about something that we have to believe in. Not that we can actually see him or feel him, but we actually have to. We just believe in something that's there. You know.
Um, so to elaborate on what he said, I feel like science is factual based on researches. The Christianity or the religion is history is happening. It's been happening.
All right. Just before we get one more answer from you guys, I think they can work hand in hand. I think that's the way it should work. I think faith is a depiction of what happened. Science is the way to find the proof. That's what I think, and I think that's the first of all, science started off as botany, then it went into to genetic science. So science in itself has evolved, and I think in we've seen as human beings, we've seen science kind of create itself, and so we trust in this process. The Bible gives us something to, I guess, challenge science against. And I think that's one of the biggest things. We use science as a way to cut the Bible down. Where I think if we spent more time trying to prove the Bible instead of disproving it, we would find that a lot more things in the Bible start to make sense.
To add on to what Josiah said, I know that in Egypt, they use the Bible to find like ancient artifacts. So I think like that's already them like the Bible and like science working. I mean Christianity and or religion and science working hand in hand. Because like if the Bible is not like factual or like everything in the Bible is wrong, they wouldn't be like using it to find ancient artifacts.
To add
Okay.
on to what Prince said, the Bible and science should work hand in hand because the questions we ask in the Bible could be answered through science, and the questions we ask in science could be answered through the Bible.
Okay, snaps for that.
I think science and the Bible can work hand in hand. Science and the Bible can work hand in hand. But when I was younger, like obviously I didn't believe in God. I just believe in science. But like today, there's like a lot of science that proves what happens in the Bible exists and actually happened. And like nothing can't come from nothing. It's actually more reasonable to believe there's a God than there isn't a God, because it's scientifically impossible.
Okay. All right. I think just to kind of end us off, as we are talking about religious norms or religious kind of traditions, specifically, we are trying to break them down, especially ones that we just, as Christians or as young people, we just feel maybe don't really fit in our walks with God or just our daily lives. I'd like for us to just go around the room and just kind of already just say a religious norm or a religious tradition that the Bible or the church says we should do or we should think or whatever that we do not follow. Does everyone kind of understand? I feel like sure. So we'll go around the room and just share a religious norm or a tradition that you do not follow. So something that you're already breaking. Do you want to start?
I think um sin because like
Okay. Okay. So she's breaking sin.
I didn't say I was breaking sin now.
Then you're not answering the question.
I
The tradition she's breaking is sinning.
At least everybody sin.
Yeah.
At least somebody. I did not say I was breaking sin.
What religious norm are you breaking? Sin.
I did not say I was breaking
So
sin.
we got a saint over here.
No.
Okay. Oh, breaking medical norms.
All right, let's get serious. What's up? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. I think just to kind of end us off, I have a question. As this month we are talking about religious norms or religious traditions, specifically about breaking them, why don't we go around the room and we can each say a religious tradition or a religious norm that we are already breaking in our day-to-day lives? Sure, we'll start with Prince.
I think that one that me personally that I break is like going to church in like church clothes, because like after like switching churches, I don't even really care about it anymore. Because like I used to go to like an African church, right? And if I went in like YN clothes, like quote unquote YN
God.
clothes, they would like look at me like I'm an outsider, like if I was like not serious about God. But like in the white church, they're like more welcoming, like they don't really care. Yeah.
Mine is pray without ceasing, actually, because I don't pray every single time. And I feel like this thing has become a normal thing where you have to pray. You seriously have to, especially when you need something. You seriously have to pray to get that thing. And so, yeah, I'm trying to say, like, I feel like praying every single time is, yeah, kind of like something you should do, but for me, it's more like just when you need it and when you need to talk to God. That's how I feel like it. Just when you
So
want
to
talk to
add on
God.
Okay,
that,
okay.
so I feel like yes, we should pray. We should also fast, and
Oh.
yeah, that's it. We should pray and fast.
But what is a religious norm that you are breaking?
Fasting.
Okay, he's not fast.
He's breaking fast.
So the religious norm you're breaking is fasting. You're breaking fast. Okay, that's tough. That's tough. Ruben.
One thing I see about the church is that like most people see it as a competition and like other stuffs, like because like just an example, like when you go to the church and like when you go with like a bike and with some nasty clothes, like so some people like take it like as a competition and other stuffs.
I think what he's trying to say is like some people going to church, like they see it as a competition, like who drives the best car, who like has the best clothes. Yeah.
You're breaking that norm by just going on your bike. Okay, I understand. Personally, the idea that like I've been to a lot of churches. I was a church musician. I was a church musician for a long time. I taught music in a church, and then my mom was a minister. So I've been to a lot of churches. Like I should have a Rolodex of churches I've been to, and one of the biggest things is this idea that the old people always know what's best. Like church has to be in this order. It has to always be this way. If we break this way, God is going to punish us. I find that I'm with a church right now. The church's mission is 7 generations, and they've given the youth incredible power. The youth literally run around in the church. We break and destroy things without even knowing. We give back on Sundays, and they ask for our opinion. And I think that is, it's not something that I'm doing personally, but it's something that I'm able to contribute to. A breaking of a norm within religion, that I think that for me, seeing that norm broken is significant in the fact that I know that me helping this happen is not only helping me, but their kids, like Prince said, like these kids can feel welcome in the church and they get to have a say. Like if they think this should be done on Sundays, they get to say, Josiah, can you bring this up? And I can bring it up in a board meeting and it would be heard.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody breaking sin or anything like that? Okay, I think I have a pretty simple one. I mean, a religious norm, especially in Christian beliefs is that you're not really supposed to be working on Sundays, and I work at a church on Sundays. So, very ironic there for now. Um, I want to thank all of you guys for joining us today in doing our podcast. Thank you guys for sharing your opinions and your thoughts. And thank you all for listening to our opinions and our thoughts. Next month, we are going to be tackling culture. So I think that's going to be another set of great discussions. So we are very excited for that. But again, thank you. This is the 180. Seek the challenge, be the change.